on my website, it kind of explains like this is the but maybe everybody go there thinking they're gonna get everything for free. So when you break off the countries into their like these states into
have to
their
say, and maybe we can start getting some names together. Maybe we get some signatures together and living with people with the same ideologies. And there's nothing. Be honest. Now it was a party at one time. Hello, everybody. We're back to the podcast world once again. Today is April 2nd, 2026. This is Johnny the Chooch from Pennsylvania. And once again, we're going to talk a little bit. It's a political motivated show. We're going to talk about politics. And basically, what we're going to do is talk about the division in the country, which is rampant, and it's been that for a while. Basically, what this podcast is promoting a website. It's called Americans.com, and basically explains about. I put it together. It's explaining about why I'm even doing this podcast, and it's a solution. One thing that we're doing here on this show is we come up with solutions one way or the other. The main solution is the division of the country, splitting up the country. My solution as the Chooch is to let states within the northern continent, America, break away from the Union and be their own country and territory, which if all the states did that, would be a new Europe, would be a Europe. So I'm basically taking a playbook from Europe, and along with other continents in the world that have countries on their continent side by side, working together. And I just think that's time that we do this. I want to say where we're from here. This show is, you can watch this show on xlhub.com, xlhub.com. That is Sarah. Sarah produces the show and produces a network with other shows on it, actually. So go to the xlhub.com, see some of our shows. You can see my show and have some fun. That would really be great. So I always give like a 5-minute about, again, I kind of briefly explain what I'm doing, where I'm going. We know the world as we know it is a wreck. And my thoughts is that after 250 years of this country, which is a very short time, the empire of America has been destroyed by greed, unethical people, immoral people, and basically it's just turned into a business of making money and being an authority figure and do what humans do best, try to tell people what to do and run people's lives and basically enslave people. It's enslaving the people in the way of making them work 2-3 jobs, or both parents are working jobs, and people in their 80s and 70s are working to eat. And we've done nothing for the people of the country that work hard and abided by God's ways. I don't get too religious yet. There's going to be a couple of religious shows thrown in there, but it's not. But let's say abide by God's ways and and live a normal, which there is normal. We're going to talk about that at some point. Life, but it's getting destroyed by what I call is the grays, the aliens, the people that want to destroy good. Is injected with DNA from the aliens out there, and I do believe that. But that's a little podcast and getting into God and stuff like that. But we're not going to do that yet. So How we can divide the country. There is a legal method to this. It's the Fifth Amendment. Um, uh, I'm sorry, Article 5. Apologies. Article 5 of the Constitution. And it allows the states to, three-quarters of the states, which is approximately 33 states, can change any amendment or any article in the Constitution, without the help of the Congress, the crazy maniac people that run the country, and the Senate, basically a bunch of losers. I am definitely not a government person. I believe that government, at one time it worked. At one time in 1976, for a little while, people, went by the Constitution and had some moral ethics, mostly, and it worked. And we had a 80-20 split, 90-10, maybe we're at worst 70-30 split on how people wanted to live in this country. And but now it's 50-50, and it's going to get bigger. The division is going to get even bigger because the side that is enabled, delinquent, doesn't want to follow any moral codes, he's going to get bigger because nobody wants to do nothing. Nobody wants to fucking work. Nobody gives a shit about anybody. And it seems like it's going to be like a dope smoking, fentanyl, non-working generation of people coming up. And unfortunately, the people that are old enough are hanging on to some traditional American ways. It's going to get swallowed up. Absolutely going to get swallowed up. And how they're going to get swallowed up is by their own constitution, which nobody can define. Nobody really defines it. It's so open, and there's so many different ways to look at it, decipher it, that nobody can get a handle on it. So that's destroying. The policies are destroying it, letting people, just live in the country, have babies, get free everything, while people go out and pay, and the well's just dried up. And those are a couple of other podcasts, for later use. I'll be something else to talk about later on about, what are we going to do with these people? What are we going to do with people that don't want to live and do the right thing? And, and eventually they're going to become more and more and more. And again, I'm repeating myself because Italian guy. So we repeat the good people. That's even the wrong word to say, good people. Let's not even say that. The people that just want to follow sort of status quo, how, thousands of years of how people have been living in society, it's falling apart. It's falling apart because those people throughout those thousands of years had to live and survive and take care of each other, sort of, quote unquote, as a village. And the village is gone. It's burning down. But okay, so that's what brings us to the division in the country, which ends up, there's some options of division. The country is civil war, revolt against the government, everything that probably should have already happened by now. But, I have a solution. The solution is let's have let's let the states add another article to the Constitution, allowing states to break away. States will break away. People will go settle in the states that come up with their way of living, or the ideologies they want to live by. And at least if you're divided, you're in a state where you can live with people you want to live with and really by the rules. That would be, of course, tearing up the Constitution. I do believe the Constitution is a great, it's gonna, what do they call it? A great coffee table book. No, it's something maybe in 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years, you can have a copy of it over your table one day and go, hey, look, this is what the country used to live by. It's an artifact, or put it in on your bookshelf, American Constitution, because it's no good. It was written in 1976, or we went by that, and it was a great try. It worked for a while, but the same people that wrote it are way long gone, and probably a lot of their relatives are way long gone. And probably anybody that is in the bloodlines of the people that wrote the Constitution, probably don't care. Right? They probably don't care anyway, because nobody fucking really cares about anything but themselves anyway, which leaves you to your little clique and group of people in life that you can trust and maintain. And that's where we're at. We're not on a blanketed, trust friendly, I mean, you have to search it out. There are good people, there are nice people. Unfortunately, you gotta, be where they are. You got to find them. It's so that's what the division and letting people break off. Another example would be at splitting up states. Like I live in Pennsylvania right now. We can have a Western and Eastern Pennsylvania, because Eastern Pennsylvania seem to be a little different than Western Pennsylvanias. So there you go. So that's what this is about. There is a solution to our negative sort of living cycle right now, which is all we do is fight back and forth with two parties in this country. The deep state is just what it is, the deep state, and they're ruining everything, and it's just alien apocalyptic sort of living in a way of life here, and it's getting to that, to be honest with you. So this is my solution. It's Chooch improved. Sarah's producing it, putting it right now on her website, and you can check it out. Check it out. That was the xlhub.com. That's right, xlhub.com, and you check them all out, and we'll try to get the message out. Okay, so what we're going to do, that was that rant. That has to be my 5-minute rant or whatever it is, because I don't know how many people watch, but they have to know what we're trying to do. All right, so there is part of the show, and I'm going to actually put my regular glasses on for this, so hold on a second. All right, because at my age, you usually have to use a little helper. All right, so the Chooch came up with some stuff here, just something that we can play around with, and why we're split. The kind of couple of reasons why we're split. Split up, and I'm going off of. We're going to go back. We're going to do a little history lesson. I'm going to go back to Ronald Reagan. Okay, I believe the last time that we had any real majority of people in the country that were kind of on the side of how we want to live goes back to Reagan. In 1980, this is great. I was 16 maybe, and Ronald Reagan came in, and Jimmy Carter at the time was talk about a chooch. This guy was a real chooch. And I want to get something straight, and I really mean this. I'm really trying not to pick sides on here. I will have an opinion on something. It might not fit your opinion, but I am open-minded to what you have to say and what you think is right. Right now, to me, nobody's right or nobody's wrong. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Right now we're having a thing with Islam, and they're going into countries and causing some troubles, and things of that nature. And of course, we're in the middle of the Iran war. And listen, I mean, do they think they're wrong? No. I don't know. Are they? They just this is what the discussion is going to be like when we get to like God and stuff like that. But are they right? Are we right? I mean, there's just as many as them as Christians. I don't know. So who's right? Who's God's better? Who's prophets better? Whatever. But that's something we're going to talk about later at some point. Should be interesting. I think that's a fun subject. And like I say, we're not going to try to make fun or talk bad about anybody's what their thoughts are. So, but Ronald Reagan in 80. Okay, Ronald Reagan. He actually won. He won by 8 million votes in 1980. 8 million. That's a lot. He beat Jimmy Carter by 9 percentage points, 10 percentage points. So he got 51%, and Carter got 41%. Now, is 8 million votes and 10%? a big majority. I mean, this is Ronald Reagan. This is a guy that was, he was the guy, but it was his first time running against Carter, who I think probably at that time, I think the kitchen table could have beat Jimmy Carter. I mean, nobody. I mean, he was a horrible president. He really messed up the economy and things internationally. But here we go. Then Reagan bounces back. He runs against Mondale, who you got to remember. As a kid, I do remember this. Is Walter Mondale, I believe. And we'll go talk about electoral votes. Reagan in 1980 won 490, which is a lot. Okay. And in 1984, he won 525 electoral votes. But it really doesn't matter, electoral college at this point. It does to win the presidency. Of course it does. Okay. Let's get that straight. But we're going to look at the popular vote. That's the one. So in Reagan, though, after his first term, and people were a little weary about him his first term, his second term, people, he won by 20%. By 20%, he won by 17 million votes. Okay, I mean, they're getting somewhere. They're getting somewhere. 60-40, 60-40. It's not 70-30. I like at least 70-30, right? It means, we're all on the same page. 60-40. So that means that 40% of the country still voted for Walter Mondale, and Jimmy Carter, 41%. So even then, probably the biggest number in a while, a percentage-wise and popular vote-wise, somebody won by, but it was still it was only 60-40. But that's good, though. That's good. That's good that he won by that. So we get into the Bush, who I think ruined the whole country. And I mean, Bush ruined it. Reagan handed him off a softball economy, a great attitude going into 88. This is 1988. He goes against the caucus, who, was pretty much a dud, and Bush was running off being the vice president of Reagan. Things were going good. He swamped them electoral wise, 426 to 111, but he only won by 7 million votes. To me, 7 million votes isn't a lot. It's not. I mean, 7 million people live on Manhattan. So, I mean, so not a big vote. Yeah, he won by 8 percentage points. All right. And then we get into he goes against Clinton in 92. This is really weird because Ross Perot ran as president there. Clinton only won with 43% of the vote. Okay, he didn't even get half, and Bush only got 37. Perot got 20%. So right then and there, nobody liked anybody. Nobody really. I mean, Clinton didn't swamp. Clinton didn't steal Perot's 20% and make it 63%, and Bush didn't get 20% to make it 50%. So they really weren't a hot topic. I don't think Clinton or the Bush senior was a hot topic. And actually 20% Ross Perot got. It's a guy that was squeaking around, little guy, billionaire, spending all his money on this campaign. He got 20% of the vote. I mean, that's a lot. So then we come into 96. Clinton goes up against Dole, and Ross Perot runs again. All right. And Clinton gets 47 million votes. Dole gets 39 million, and Ross Perot gets 8 million. So the percentages was Clinton did a little better. He got 49% of the vote. Dole got 40%, and Perot got 8%. Perot lost. He ran an extra time, and nobody took him serious after that. I guess it seems that way. But I mean, but Clinton. I mean, listen, if Dole had gotten Perot's 8%, it would have been just about a tie. So where I'm saying it's split. So far, Reagan's the only one back in 84 that really showed like, all right, we're really more or less on board with this at 60-40, which takes us to 2000. Bush Jr. Bush Jr. runs another jerk off. So another jerk, he runs after his father, beats up Iraq and starts a war we shouldn't have started. Bush Jr. Continues his father's way. And by the way, his father was in the White House more than Jr. was when he won. So he goes against Al Gore. who was Clinton's vice president. And he beat it. They literally tied 48% to 47%. Actually, I think there was a Florida, there was a runoff or something real bad. You know, Bush Jr.'s brother was the governor of Florida. I think Chobby cheated him out. And, you know, so that's why Gore had a problem with that. They took him to court, I believe, and Gore lost. And, you know, but that was probably said he just squeaked by. So that way split. So you could see as it was getting down the line, it's even more and more divided. You know, more people they don't know who they want to vote for. And then you get to 2004, Bush Jr. runs against John Kerry. 3 million difference, 50% to 48%. Split. Now, what we do come into is we come into we get into Obama. Okay. All right. So this is a guy, black guy, smooth talker, comes up in 2008. Country was looking for something different. I personally think he was supposed to be the Martin Luther King of presidents. I think everybody thought, especially a lot of white people thought, he was going to maybe, I don't know, bring everybody together better. And he was more black guy and he was running for president, but he ran against John McCain, who was a rhino. Nobody really liked him. War hero, tortured in Vietnam when his plane got shot down. But, and he kind of ran on that, and, did well in Arizona as a senator and all that. But Obama beat him by 7 percentage points. Okay. He did beat him by 9.5 million votes, though. That's the new kid on the block, right? And, but I think in 2012, the truth started coming out. He only won by 4 million votes, or 4.9, and percentage, he only won by 4 percentage points. So I think people started realizing it. But he ran against Mitt Romney, who another rhino, right? Another rhino. So the softies voted Obama and again, and but listen, again, we're still not talking 51 to 47, 42 to 54%. Not making a killing. I want to see 70, 30, 80, 20. I do. How about at least 65? Reagan was the closest. How about 65, 35? Give me 65, 35. And then we're talking that people, are on the same page. So that's that. And then where do we go? We go to Hillary Clinton. We're using up some time here. Hillary Clinton, 48%, actually got the popular vote. Trump got 46%, but he won the Electoral College. So split. And surprisingly, she was somebody that was, first lady and senator and everything. And, she didn't do it. Didn't get enough, So, and that takes us to Biden, Trump, 51%, 46%. Biden won that one. Pandemic, presidential election, mail-in votes, split. If anything, split. Some things going on there, but okay, split. All right, so he won. They say he won by 7 million votes, but I don't know. But okay, but still split, right? And which then brought us to the most recent, which is Trump Biden. I'm sorry, Kamala Harris and Trump. Sorry about that. He got 49%. She got 48%. I mean, listen, he won by like 2 million, 3 million votes. And, I don't think that administration, the Biden-Harris administration, did so great. So hold on a second. So, but people still voted for her. He won Electoral College and he did pretty good that way. But Still split all the way down. So that's just a little history of where we're going. Like I said, the biggest was in 1984 was the biggest percentage. That was Reagan, Monda. We're split. And so you can't keep doing this. Can't keep running a country split all the time. And then the president wins, and then they lose the midterms, and then they go back, and then they win. They win the presidency, and somebody wins. Then they go to the midterms again, and then they have special elections, and people go back and forth. It's fucking ridiculous. It's all set up for this to fail. It's all set up for this to fail, and for people to keep making money, and to keep people off kilter and paying. And it's a big fucking laugh joke riot, and we're going to talk about that with also the joke on us with the media and two political parties, jokes on us. Not everybody it's a joke on. We just, how much can we do but start a podcast and say, hey, let's split up the country so we get the fuck out of here and live with people that we really want to live with. How about that? Yeah, there you go. Well, see, Sarah, we're doing something. At least we have an answer, a solution to the hatred and division in this country that I never witnessed when I was a kid, but it's horrible now. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about regulations. Regulations. We talked a little bit about it last show. I believe that was show number 5. Okay, it was one thing that's not great about what's going on in the inner part of the country as far as the administration and living. The international part is going well, is going great. One thing I can say about our president is he's very well equipped to deal with international issues. He definitely has his thumb on the pulse. The guy, has businesses all over the world. Unfortunately, this is great for all the people that make a lot of money. And, of course, we all know that the stock market is ran on insider trading, right? I mean, if anybody doesn't know that, ask Nancy Pelosi. So where I'm going with that is none of these people that have money are running this country, either side, they're all pieces of shit, right? They're pieces of shit. Yeah, they're not. Nobody's trying to make anything better. They're really not. And you really should run a country and be a politician based on a couple of things. And one of them is the lowest amount a person can pay for health care. Okay, and we need a pension system, not a social security system, which is a bust, and there's not enough money. And this all can be done, without raping everybody over the coast. It can be done. Other countries do it. Sweden, healthcare systems. These other countries do these systems where people are set up for their older age to do it. Nobody's looking into the older people and how to retire and making sure people can retire, but you can do it. And those are the two things. So the politicians are supposed to really make the cost of living and the way of life, especially the necessities, the lowest amount. That's your job. You have to pretend everybody makes $50,000 a year, lives in New Jersey or New York, and how are they going to pay their bills? That's what you do when you sit around a table with some people that you're supposedly are smart. And the reason is they are smart. They're smart on fucking raping everybody over the coals. They're smart like that. Everybody's smart, but nobody's taking their smarts and trying to make the society, the machine run well oiled. And how do you well oil a society? Is the economy. The economy has to flourish, and people have to have enough money to at least pay bills. And of course, if they spend it wrongly on their end and piss their money away, that's a different story, and then you deal with those people. But people that are making a legit go at it, at least you offer the lowest costs for things, and that's where regulations come in. We're going to talk a little about regulations for the time that we have left. I might go over a couple minutes, Sarah, if that's okay. We can regulate healthcare. You can set up a healthcare system that is sort of an in and out, bring them in, get them out, supply line, cost effective, you know, you know, money watch how the money's being spent. It can be done. Other countries have great healthcare systems, and it doesn't cost them a ton. It's a matter of, you know, you know, who's got their hands in the pot and what they're doing with the monies. And of course, the government's never going to regulate it. Even Trump's not going to regulate it because there's too many people in his circle that fucking make too much money off of it. He's not going to do it. Okay, prescriptions should be nothing. Okay, didn't we talk about this? China's making all the shit for the prescriptions. You can make it here. You can make it here. You can get it cheaper from another. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. So this whole big thing about who's our enemy, who is it's not that. It's all about money. It's all about money. Same thing with the oil that's going on. So the healthcare system can be regulated. Actually, but they won't regulate it. We can fix the pension system, Social Security system. Absolutely. He just did it. He just started something that said that he's going to put money in to accounts for children that are born, and in 20 years they're going to have $80,000, X amount of dollars. There's the way to do this, that you can set this up, put so much money into it, and when you retire at some point, you can have X amount. An example would be, you put $300 a month in an account for 40 years that you work, and then when you retire, you get $3,000 a month. When you retire, 300 for 3,000 at the end, and then, you start, supplying some 55 and older real housing, regulate some land in some of this in these states to build, areas, villages for people that retire and they can live in them. We can even do regulation on housing for people that are working and young. Why not? We have to get out of giving everybody money that doesn't work and fucking does nothing all day. Give that, if you want to give somebody money, taxpayers money, build it for people that are working, build villages, houses, areas. Stop landlocking all the land, start regulating it, start telling the states you're going to open up some of this land, or you're going to, people holding on to land for so long in these states and saying, well, we're not going to sell it because I own. No, you're going to sell it. You're going to sell it. And we're going to give you so much money for it, just like they do in the cities and the towns when they need to take over a block or whatever. I forget what that's called. What is that called? Marianne, what's that? Where are you? Oh, I'm trying to figure what that's when they take over your land. All right. So we'll look into that. But there's ways to do that, regulate housing, regulate healthcare. We can regulate cars. You can regulate Wi-Fi. You can do regulations. Believe me, you can do government regulations on it, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because then the big guys lose out. And all the buddies and administrations and all the lobbyists that pay the politicians for their votes, everybody's not going to get their envelopes. Okay? You can regulate these things. Man, I talked too much today. I really wanted to get more on this. All right. Well, we used it on the presidency thing in division. We're going to do one more show on regulations. I want to really be more specific on what I'm talking about. I don't want to just throw this into 3 minutes. It's just not right because I got a lot on my mind and a lot I want to say about this and about how, scumbags run the country and the government is the biggest scumbag face of the planet, and a lot of the governments around it's done. Governments are done. People that run other people's lives are done. It's fucking over. So the point of this is uuamericans.com, split the country up, let states be their own countries. So at least people can go into smaller venues and live in smaller geographical areas, call it their own, rip up the Constitution, have your own any constitution you want, any rules and laws that you want. And I think it'll work. It'll work. The smaller, lesser people condensed in one area will be able to figure out how they want to live because this conglomerate of the Northern Continent is just one big corporation that's fucking spinning out of control. And all we're doing is continually pumping money into it, pumping my money into it, and probably a lot of your money into it, and you don't know where it goes. All right. All right, we got to go. It's 35 minutes. I don't want to take up too much time. It's there, we said we're going to kind of keep it around a half an hour. So this is the Chooch from Pennsylvania. I hope we learned a little something, breakdown, division. I hope I got that point across. Go to the xlhub.com network, look at Sarah's shows, look at my show, and try to get the word out. Go to my website, sign the petition, or answer us. I don't care, whatever. Let's just get some traction going, so somebody can hear about this and we can get this on some real media outlets. And let's talk about this for real. There is a legal backdrop that can really make this happen. This isn't something we're just talking about, and this isn't the first time this has been mentioned in the history of this country. Okay, all right. So this is Johnny the Chooch signing off. See you next time. Thank you, Sarah. Talk to you soon.